The Hyrule we know and love has sadly been overused in the last 10 years. In other words, the time has come for a new land to explore in The Legend of Zelda. One that doesn't have Death Mountain, Kakariko Village, and so on. At the same time, Hyrule holds the key to the icons of the franchise, and as the home of Zelda, it is also the home of the Triforce, the Royal Crest and family, and naturally, the Master Sword. The Triforce combo that sells the best and is only found in Hyrule Zelda games. At the same time, a kingdom could be forced to relocate if the original territory is gone or even destroyed. In fact, in the Zelda timeline, we have seen this happen after the original kingdom was flooded for good. Spirit Tracks, New Hyrule. But that New Hyrule should remain its own thing. Instead, the next Zelda game might take parts of the idea, but alter it and place it in a land like no other up to this point. Much like Spirit Tracks did before its release in 2009. And the more I've been thinking about it, a Hyrule outside of Hyrule could actually make a lot of sense. The solution for the Zelda team, remove the royal family and its kingdom, and the symbols of power. Needless to say, we could have a brand new Zelda game like no other on the Nintendo Switch 2, where the capital or castle town isn't in the interior of the land, but could rather be surrounded by water, either as a half or full-blown island. You see, Hyrule has throughout this 40-year-long gaming history been a mainland, and even Spirit Tracks stuck to this convention. At the same time, the open air is all about challenging these established conventions. And after seeing how draining the beloved 2017 map became when reused in 2023, it is time to think fresh. Not a Hyrule with just a single main island destination containing a challenge or a temple, but rather a complete division of the entire map. You see, when Hyrule has not been landlocked, it has been one of two things. A large number of islands in the Great Sea, or mainland with a coast and at most a natural island. Combining the two has never been done before, and this could be the recipe for the best Zelda map yet. Why? As it is a combination of two things that traditional Hyrule cannot deliver, or a fuse if you want. Fully new landscapes and landmarks, and whatever step we make results in a new discovery, even more so than what we saw in the case of Breath of the Wild, where only the near coastal areas felt truly fresh with its beaches, tropical jungles, cliffs, and overall unseen before variety. Still, these new territories are only slim sections from the usual locations we had explored in Ocarina of Time, The Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, yes, even Skyward Sword. So we'll reuse the rest of this video to go inside how this Hyrule could be if it isn't an old Hyrule at all. It goes without saying, the sea is the real game changer, as we will get to towards the end of the video. But what also really matters is the new for us players continent. Simply put, New Hyrule could, just like old Hyrule, have a big landmass. But rather than this one dominating the whole thing, you could make the second half to the Great Sea, which has its own inhabited islands. Once again delivering a land that feels believable, but also fresh. So what worked so well in 2017? Keeping it organic and reflecting the climates of our Earth's north, middle, and south so well that many didn't even notice. But with this setup, there's always room for twists. Mixing things up, to the point where suddenly you have a volcano, but instead of it being Death Mountain, it is more like Mount Fuji. Instead of Mesoamerican jungle, you have an African one, and so on. So let's start from the coast with its own fishing villages, which of course would have to differ from the Lorellan village and the villages we are likely to find in the Great Sea. But these could be our direct entrance into the fields of the mainland. And unlike the wasteland found in Breath and abandoned in Tears, these could be cultivated and full of farmers. The breadbasket of the kingdom with its own cultures and recipes, mirroring that of Central Europe. Since we didn't get this flatland in Breath and Tears, well, at least alive, it is in its place to have it here. But what could be in the center of the continent this time? Personally, I think snowy mountains, just as what is the case in certain parts of the world, and especially coastal countries such as Norway, Central Italy, Japan, and New Zealand. And New Hyrule could follow this setup, and boom, here we find the shield surfing, or even skiing villages that have been missing in the open air. A snow paradise with official royal winter competitions, after parties, and naturally hearty meals. The twist being though, that the central part of the continent is not only mountainous and covered in ice and potentially volcanoes, as is the case with Niseko and Mount Yote, but also that due to the sea and its islands, this isn't even the center of the map, just the center of the continent, and thus also not a boundary like it was in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Instead, that honor could go to the forests that had never reached to the edge of the map of our current Hyrule. But here, the edge of the forest could be the Lost Woods, a natural barrier where you cannot go any further as the mist swallows you. Let's remember, in A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, the Master Sword was located in the northwestern edge of the kingdom. Why not make the Lost Woods into the rainforest of New Hyrule, having it in the completely opposite direction to where we would expect to have it? And the Master Sword being sealed deep in a jungle, guarded by snakes, leopards, and other kinds of crocodiles. Based on what we already have outlined, we have a land with the Hyrule brand that completely stands apart from the one we know. And that is the real potential of another more contrasting than Spirit Track's New Hyrule. Zelda Unknown, or a world we don't know and cannot even fully recognize, as it may have the familiar labels, but is completely different. Though in a good way, as this is exactly what this franchise needs after a little Hyrule fatigue in the first half of the 2020s. But also sand. Deserts do cover a significant part of our own world, and most often they are found near coastal areas. Now, what if instead of a Gerudo desert town, we have a Gerudo desert coastal town? The place we are first greeted as we depart our starting island after visiting the capital, with its water and boat-based activities, and begin our exploration of the continent. A different take on the Zelda formula, and instead of crossing the great fields to reach the deserts and valleys, you first cross the desert and canyons to reach the more floral areas. But what about the Sheikah? They should also be coastal, blending, mixing, and then having the equivalent of rainy Akkala in the last place you would have expected, either southwest where we had Gerudo Desert until now, or in a completely different location. Filled with autumn leaves, while in other parts of the map, most likely tied to the Sheikah, we find proper cherry blossom areas, not just individual trees, to match the homeland of the Zelda team. Perhaps even a proper Sheikah castle in traditional Japanese style, the perfect dungeon to top Snow Peak ruins. Add to that proper swamp or bog areas, major rivers that actually flow out to the sea, as they didn't in Breath and Tears, and we have an even better and more organic map. Still, all of this is to the side of the center of the map, where we find the capital, which has always remained, well, on the continent up to this point. And though we have been missing traditional Castletown in 3D, its recent presence in Echoes of Wisdom in 2024 means that this one also requires a shake-up, and nothing would serve that goal better than placing it on an island, which proudly hoists the royal crest as its sail. An urban location like no other in the series' 40 years, simply by being an island. And if you really want to elevate to a true legendary level, then turn it into VCT, Venice Castletown. Canals, narrow walkways on one or each side of these, and plenty of wall and rooftop action. A true dream come true for any urban Zelda fan, and a place that could top Witcher 3's Novigrad, as this will be a city of canals and a castle town. So not only market square and streets, but also the seat of power and the royal family residing in this one. But alongside the royal drama, amazing cooking and recipes, minigame galore like never before, and the ultimate side quest location. But the Greater Sea could have far more to offer, such as islands with villages, but also pure wilderness. And here the solution can be a blend of Italy, Japan, but also more southern and northern climates, since the island part of New Hyrule could be greatly varied, just like the greater continent that they are detached from. We could see everything from fishing villages. Think the starting location of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the tropical locations on the equator that we already see in the islands of Pokemon Winds and Waves. Since with Pokemon going underwater in its sea, there is no excuse for the Zelda team anymore to not do the same, as right here we could have the Zelda Atlantis, or a place where the Sea Zora could live, perhaps stopping Zora's domain from the Nintendo Switch. A world of wonder, and a new Hyrule that establishes the best possible convention for 3D Zelda, while taking a page from the most unique move in the series' history, moving the kingdom and creating new Hyrule over and over again, with different topography, islands, landmasses, and so on. because what really matters is the potential of creating more new Hyrules after the franchise hopefully celebrates its 50th anniversary from the beginning 1986 to 2036. Anyway, with all this in mind, what do you think of a potential new Hyrule? And can this be used as another tool to make Zelda an eternal franchise? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press notification bell and for all notifications. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching and to all our patreon.com/common patrons. Special shoutouts go to our heroes, Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf and Kintaro. You rock, and please enjoy these awesome videos.